Good day, people. After all that land clearing, I figured it would be nice to slow down for a minute and talk about what my plans are for renovating and restoring this beautiful old stone cabin ruin built with large granite blocks. And the footprint is about 7 by 7 meters. But these walls are so thick, at least 50 centimeters wide, that effectively on the inside it's about 6 by 6 meters. The first issue that needs to be tackled after clearing up all the rubble, all the debris, is to stabilize this crumbling wall here, where it's bulging outwards along the front facade. You see the rocks that have already crumbled and fallen, and I'm standing on some of them. I hope it had more to do with the roof slowly opening up and with the rain and the heat, the walls weakened. But maybe over time, the walls shifted a bit. You know, this place has been standing over 100 years. But when I look at the wall, which is nice, the lower end, it's still straight. But yeah, first support the wall, remove the render, and then we'll get a complete picture. But that's going to be a tough job, but I'm actually quite excited because it's working with stone, like the way of old. Though I also said from the start that I want to work on the long-term structural integrity of the building. So maybe it's worth it to underpin the walls, meaning digging down and build it up with concrete from underneath to support these big blocks. But I would have to dig down a bit and see what the actual footprint of the house is, because it's very possible that underneath there's even larger blocks that support the building. I don't know. Also, you can see that the house has been built on a slope and has been dug out on this side of the building from the granite rock here. And this is the second floor. So the ground level is way down there. Can we get there? I don't know. There's also the part of keeping the water out. That's a big one for in the future. Here it catches a lot of water. So at least a French drain, as deep as possible. But again, how deep can you get? We don't know yet. Maybe alternatively build a retaining wall on the inside, but you lose space. Due to all the rubble here, we can't see the ground floor. It's one of the main missions this summer, to clear it out. There used to be animals living on the lower floor of these kind of buildings. Family would live on the second, and the heat would radiate up and keep them a little bit more warm during the winter. But I suspect that the floor is going to be dirt, maybe some kind of rock hardpack. But when it comes to also improving the structural integrity, a solid concrete floor will also help with that. Because I found out that with these old buildings, that the floors, the second floors, the attic floors, it all exerts a certain pressure to keep the walls straight. So a solid lower floor will also help with that. And of course make it more livable. We get the house plant out of the way a bit. So to renovate out here with the most freedom, you gotta keep the size, the footprint roughly the same. And the same goes for the exterior presentation. So windows, doors, can't really go and make new openings. So the windows on the lower floor are quite small, but yeah, remove the steel crosses, make a little bit more space for a wooden frame, and put windows in them, because right now they're open. But I think we can compensate by putting in a large, mostly glass door here, because it's a big opening here, and that way we'll let some light in, and also the staircase will bring light down below. Now, one of my main goals is to rebuild the cabin in the old style of the region, because why would you not? These old interiors are beautiful and are more in tune with the surrounding nature, because they have been built with the nature around it pretty much. Something that is lost in modern architecture. But a great example of this is the central wooden girdle that carries the floor. It's absolutely massive because it needs to carry a floor of 6 by 6 meters, and it's more of a tree than a piece of wood, actually. I would like to do the same again and just slot it in. But this is a 40 centimeter wide piece. I've been doing timber research in the region, from the most commercial places to the more sawmill type places. And they're pretty much telling me, forget about it. Over 6 meters, that large, nobody is going to have that sitting around. And it probably has to be chestnut or oak. What we have here is mostly Iberian pine. It's already not the strongest pine out there. It's not a Nordic pine. So it has to be a quality piece of wood also. But I don't know if we'll be able to find it, but I will certainly try. And like I said before, I'd like to work with my own sourced wood. Maybe there are individual trees for sale somewhere that have to be felled, and then you can process them. I don't know. I have to do more research for that. But I would like a nice quality a wooden floor. We're at the back of the lower floor. Up there is actually the front door. It's on the second floor. And here I can show you one of the central pieces before in this building. It's still a bit sketch out here. It's the fireplace, and it's an old type one, because more modern ones in terms of those times back in the day, they would make a full cantilever system to get these stones up here to put in front on the floor, because you didn't want any wood to be right in front of the fireplace for obvious don't burn the place down reasons. And this is the oldest way of doing it. But of course this takes up space below, and I think I'm going to remove it, if at all keeping the fireplace. But that also has to do because it gets cold in the region. an open fireplace won't suffice. It won't keep a place warm. So instead here, I'd like to install a masonry stove or a rocket stove, though both models use a special dense heat retaining brick. And they vary in the intensity with which they burn. But they hold the heat and radiate it to the upper floors throughout the day. At least that's the idea. And then in this corner here, have the stairways go up and come out here by the front door. Coming up to the upper floor. Again, as you can see, the house almost seems dug in from up here. Hard to get down there. But look at these beautiful large granite steps. And here you have the main entry, the front door. Like these wooden frames here have to be redone, and the same goes for the window frames. Luckily there's still examples, templates, if we decide to keep everything the same. The upper floor here is going to be the nicest living area of this stone cabin once it's restored. When there's a nice wooden floor here like it used to be, and the sun shines in from 1, 2, 3, 4 windows. So much light. These old school sash windows, these guillotine style open and closing mechanisms. I think there used to be at least 2 rooms. Just look at the separation there, halfway through, where there used to be these, what is it, tabik walls, these slats filled with mud to separate the rooms. And then here was the kitchen slash main living room area, rather small by the fireplace. From here, it's easier to see the separations of the walls. It's hard to maneuver up here, as you can see. But there's no plaster on this section. It's bare walls, and here there used to be these separators, because look at the white plaster still intact there. I would like to keep this whole area open because it's such a nice living area. Have a kitchen in that corner, stairwell comes up there, and then another smaller stairwell goes up to the attic, because there used to be a staircase up, but create that attic floor, a full or a semi floor, and also still make it part livable. And then once the roof goes on, it's hard to imagine it's going to be a traditional pyramid roof. And if you want an example, the barn has that angle with the old tiles, but then 4 points meeting in the middle. Of course, the roof would be constructed in its original material, again with nice wood and topped off with ceramic tiles. This time add insulation, of course, which is harder to do overall on these stone houses, because I don't want to create any more layers on the inner walls. Some areas I want to keep natural stone, probably below, so not put any plaster, and on top plaster the walls, but not add any frames to put insulation behind. which is tougher to keep warm during the winter to regulate the temperature, but I think it's nicer. It's the most expensive way to rebuild the roof, and I remember once upon a time I asked Pedro the builder, hey, could you make an estimate for the cost of wood? And he said, oh man, just build it back with steel girders, with these large prefab insulation plates, and you just put the tiles on top of that. And yeah, that's how they do it in a lot of these renovations, but I think the old way is the nicest and restores that character of old, you know. But out here is the annex, and we found out more about it. You can see that these have been made with the ceramic bricks. Pedro told me that they used to make these annex sections out of wood, because you can see here the old stone foundation still, but over time they rot away, so they rebuilt it with bricks. And as you know, before, all of this used to be overgrown. When I got here, there wasn't a single spot on this property where I could land a drone. So I used to think the whole annex went to the lower floor, but it doesn't. So before my plan, I had potentially the idea to open up on the lower floor a doorway under the fireplace into the annex and have the bathroom there. But that's not possible. What is possible, if I don't end up using the fireplace anymore, create a doorway into this annex here, so you don't have to come outside. Winters get cold. I'd like the idea more of having the bathroom included inside the house. Or you make one on the lower floor and we keep this for storage. I'm gonna try the floor for once. I don't trust it, or haven't up until now. This joist seems to be all right for now, he says. I'm actually more worried about the collapsing ceiling here. But this annex actually surprised me, because I was never expecting this toilet. And I used to think it was like a box for a bucket. But it's actually one of those old ceramic waste tubes, meaning that it goes somewhere, to some sort of septic tank. So that was completely unexpected. And a pleasant surprise, which means it makes it easier to have a bathroom out here, which wasn't often the case when it came to these farmhouses. So this is quite a nice one. Below is a small storage space. Let me show you. So before, all the brambles were here. As you can see, they're growing back. And this was covered. I didn't know this existed. So this pipe goes down, discussed it before, somewhere here to a septic tank. And more or less here, there's a pipe, a waste pipe, probably where the kitchen sink used to be, that runs into the wall down here. So I reckon that there is a septic tank underneath here somewhere. We still have to dig that up. This probably was used as a little storage space. A smelly one for sure. It seems like a good area if we ever get a small boiler or the solar electrical system, anything that needs to be tucked away. This is a great spot to install it. And then finally, the outer walls. Like I mentioned before, I do like the exposed stone, and then fill in the seams with lime mortar. But there's going to be also a lot of rubble rock areas, I think, and it's not as nice. I must say that the original work, the white, creamy render, it looks good. Contrasting with the lower end, thicker relief cement makes a nice separation. I might just recreate that. It looks good. And then maybe on the lower end, leave some exposed, larger cornerstones. And then once we finish the roof and repair the chimney stack, which is also a nice feature. And then add gutters. Over there you can see some steel hangers still left, and the holes up here because a lot of rain falls once summer is over. Well, that's the stone farmhouse. Let us know what is going through your mind, how you imagine this place would look, and if you have any structural recommendations. But I think I'm not the only one seeing the beauty and the great potential of this place. I've already gotten a taste of the long, hard days of work, and I'm looking forward to a time where I can retreat to a place called home. Take care.